Welcome to the family, son.
So recently, I uploaded a video of Mr. X versus Jack Baker, and someone suggested I do one where we have Nemesis instead. I mean, but why stop there though? Instead, let's cover a scenario of a battle that includes the proto Tyrant from RE0 with Mr. X and Nemesis going up against the Baker family, which includes Jack, Marguerite, and Lucas, as we have a full-blown battle between these villains and see who will come out on top if they clashed head-on. Anyways, what is up you guys, this is DeVuH, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the team battles of the Tyrants versus Bakers, as we see how they would fare against each other and proving who would win in their monster clash. Anyways, before we get started, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel for more Resident Evil content in the future, and check out my other Tyrant videos that I've done on my channel as well. Alright, so let's start off with the Tyrants, being created with the sole purpose of eliminating the targets based on the orders of the Umbrella Corporation, showcasing their grand stature and seeing their different traits, starting with the proto Tyrant and his ability to lunge a fair distance while at the same time slashing away at his prey, showing how ferocious he can be, and the overall dexterity of his attacks looks absolutely menacing. So moving with Mr. X from the new Resident Evil 2 remake, where he shows this ability to absorb so much damage and showcasing his superhuman strength, with a great example was seen when he takes a vehicle head on. Also, we see him being able to grab a hold of his target even if they were on the other side of the wall, showcasing that he's not limited by regular boundaries and taking advantage of any unsuspecting victims if possible. Also being able to transform into his Super Tyrant form, showcasing the large mutated right arm with claws. So moving next with Nemesis, as we watch this behemoth showcase his speed when chasing after Jill Valentine, and his versatility when he uses his tentacles and rocket launchers. Seeing a Tyrant being so versatile and mobile is something to be bewildered by, making him a true adversary for any opponent. So with all these in mind, it would seem that the Bakers would be steamrolled if they face these BOWs head on, but each of these family members are known to have their own unique abilities, starting with Jack Baker, as we've seen him showcase his superhuman strength as well, being able to go through walls,
You're wasting your time!
and ripping the roof of a car.
Ah, shit! Nice call, Ethan.
Also, Jack is known to be very resilient when it comes to receiving so much damage, even amongst his family members, which was made clear with these examples.
Fuck!
Showing that he can be an adversary that can endure a prolonged battle, not being hindered by any fatal blow, because we've seen him lose his top portion of his body, but would still show up later again in the game in Resident Evil 7.
Get your ass back to the house. I will deal with you later.
Also, the fact that he's still kicking after receiving a serum that calcified his whole body really showed how durable he is, which was shown in the End of Zoe DLC, when he becomes this tyrant-like mole creature who constantly becomes this obstacle for us needing to overcome.
What the fuck?
So now moving on to Marguerite Baker, who like Jack has an aspect of durability as well, not as potent as his, but enough to keep her opponents honest when facing her, which was shown when we deal so much damage to her during our encounters. Also, her uncanny ability to elongate her limbs and being able to crawl on walls and ceilings is something that she can take advantage of, being able to sneak around her target, causing so much havoc for the Tyrants. Also, her ability to control insects and bugs is something that can be a pest to her opponents, overwhelming them with the critters, to the point that the other Baker family members can use this distraction as a window of attack. Lastly, Lucas. Because out of the Bakers, he's the most technologically sound, being able to concoct devices that can be detrimental to any living organism, while also being resilient to any trauma as well. Because after we see Jack cut off his arm, he clearly states, which prompts the idea that he's lost a limb or two before, but we can see that he's able to regenerate them back, which is a viable aspect when going up against the Tyrants. Also, we can't discount his mold transformation, because Lucas in that form is truly formidable, being able to stand in stature with the Tyrants, while at the same time being able to contaminate an area with a toxic airborne strain that can hamper any other living organism in the proximal area, making it necessary for an individual to wear a special mask to survive a prolonged battle, as we saw with Chris Redfield.
The air contamination is going off the charts. Kill that thing before your air tank gives out.
Thanks for the advice.
So Mr. X and company have to be wary when attacking Lucas carelessly, needing to target him at his weak spots and not spreading any of the airborne toxins that can hamper them in the long run. So the clash with the Tyrants and Bakers can ensue with the proto-Tyrant lunging constantly towards the Bakers, taking advantage of that large claws that he has, but he has to be careful of not letting his exposed spinal column open for an attack. Because any of the Bakers can use that target and exploit that weakness, with Jack possibly using his chainsaw to dig into it, to Marguerite swarming bugs into the wound, or Lucas planning a device that can explode in the area. Also, even if the proto-Tyrant does make contact with any of the Bakers, it will still not be enough to kill them due to the mold strain, because they'll easily be able to absorb the blow and use that window to counterattack the Behemoth. But of course, during this ensuing battle, I don't think Nemesis or Mr. X would stand idly by watching their Tyrant brethren be overwhelmed by the Baker family, because I can see Mr. X trying to shield the proto-Tyrant from the Baker's attacks, taking advantage of that trenchcoat limiter, while at the same time we could have Nemesis locking on the Bakers with his rocket launcher, trying to end the battle quickly. But let's just hope that even a blast from Nemesis would be enough to incapacitate them, because Lucas can turn around and mutate into his mold transformation and spread the toxins that can hamper the Tyrants. So Mr. X can make his move and turn into a super Tyrant if Jack and Marguerite does too much damage to him, using his mutated claws to chop down Jack until he's unable to fight back, even if it's for a brief moment. But Marguerite can use this time to have her bug swarm the super Tyrant, especially with the exposed heart, and the open jaw that we saw in RE2 remake could be something she could have her insects go into, attacking him from the inside as well. Anyways, even with all the attributes that the Bakers have, the Tyrants are resilient in their own way, so even for some reason they get damaged or hampered to some degree due to Lucas and his airborne toxins, I can still see them push through and slash away at the Bakers, possibly attacking Marguerite first, especially since she has that large weak spot in her groin area. Then their attention will be towards Lucas, as we have all three Tyrants try to hold him down to some degree, and try to slash away or having Nemesis rain down rocket launcher shots or bullets if he's using a minigun. Then they would try to subdue Jack eventually, even if he is very resilient, because sooner or later the constant damage would have Jack become riddled with sloughing flesh, which was described in one of the files in RE7, allowing the Tyrants to really try to take advantage and pummel away at the Baker Patriarch.
This is farewell from the family, brother.
So in the end, I can see the proto-Tyrant being defeated and killed, and Mr. X and Nemesis sustaining a lot of damage, but they would still come out on top for the time being after facing the Bakers. But here's a quick thought though, even if the Tyrants win at the moment, who's to say that these Behemoths weren't infected by the mold strain in some capacity? Because if this happens to be true, then in the long run we can see that the Bakers could have potentially have made this fight a draw, if the Tyrants aren't rid of the mold strain, eventually succumbing to his effects. Also, a prolonged battle while being exposed to the toxic airborne environment is sure to take its toll in the long run, even if these Tyrants were resistant to a lot of damage. Anyways, what do you guys think overall about the monster clash between the Tyrants versus the Bakers? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my Tyrants versus Bakers video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because if you did, please feel free to hit that notification bell icon so you guys can be updated when I upload my next video. Anyways, again, thank you guys so much, and as always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this is Hey DeVuH, signing out.